Hello and welcome to Kump. I am back. I have gotten over my various eye infections. My pink eye, my residual redness is gone. I am a survivor. I don't know why victims of pink eye don't get the same kind of credit as someone who almost dies of cancer. The reasons may be obvious, but I still think it's selfish. I think I should be lauded. For not washing my hands or my sheets. It's fine. I'm doing fine. Not changing my contacts. That's my business. You tell me it's preventable? Well, you sound like a bigot. You sound like a person who judges the sick and wants to see him die. You're a terrible American. I have a great amount of resilience, a great amount of I'm a rugged individual, and I've survived. So we're not going to dwell on the past. But you can find more details on the Patreon if you want. I think I talked about it more, but we're not going to talk about not washing hands right now. That's for we're here for the future. We're here to bring you into the next, I guess we're already in the 21st, whatever the next thing is. But it's a crazy time. It's a crazy time where we no longer even look to our leaders for their sage wisdom or even their foibles. We look for proxy wars, which are fought between amongst the children of the powerful. We see someone in a seat of power and we go, what does that person's teenage daughter think of the geopolitical ramifications of these decisions? What is Claudia Conway? I mean, what are we doing? I've been outspoken. I don't want to hear from children. I don't care what they think. They're dumb. All right, this isn't Doogie Howser. All right, I watched Doogie Howser recently, and I used to watch as a kid. It was Neil Patrick Harris. If you've never seen it, he's a 16-year-old doctor. I don't mean a 16-year-old in med school. This is a guy who, I believe he got, if you look at the opening title credits, it's a picture of him with braces. He looks like a milk carton kid, which is, is that he does. He looks like, Johnny Gosh on a milk carton, but instead of being, kidnapped by Oklahoma-based sexual predator networks, he got into Harvard Med School, and he's took the classes, and he's a functioning doctor. He's treating people's erectile issues. He's digging around inside vaginas and assholes, just pulling things. He works in, I imagine the emergency room. I only watched one episode recently, but I'm sure it's not the most realistic show, so he's probably digging around inside people, pulling it. There's a lot. I mean, it might be a cliche. I knew guys at the morgue who were nurses, and, they would tell me about how the prevalence of, this is a common thing if you know anyone in the medical industry, but there's the things in asses. Things get stuck in asses. If you're going to stick something in your ass, get a dildo. One that has like a stopper in the back so it doesn't go all the way in. But these people shove things in their ass and they can't get them out. And they go to the doctor and say, hey, I got this Freon unit. The recharge thing, when you recharge a refrigerator, it's in my ass. Can you pull it out? That's what they have a child doing on the show. It's perverse almost. I mean, he's not literally doing that, but you have to imagine he's doing that. Was he going to tap out as soon as ass stuff comes up? Oh, that's a little above my... I mean, they had him being, like, sexually harassed by a nurse in the first episode. And then, she was, like, seducing him. And then they, he was in one of those operating theaters, which I don't even know if all hospitals have those. But, like, it was one when Kramer was watching the surgery in Seinfeld and he drops the junior mint in the guy's abdomen. It was like that. But they're all just watching him. The lights come on as she's takes his pants off, and they're all laughing at him. Look at you, you small dick child! You thought you were gonna get sexual fucked by a nurse, but now we're all laughing at you. Happy birthday. It was a happy birthday. It was a surprise party. And they're all just seducing. This nurse seduces him. And then they all just laugh at his tiny pecker. And it's fun. And then they come after, oh, we didn't mean anything by it. Yeah, but that's how, even in a world where a child is a doctor, that's how much they respect them. So even in the Doogie Howser scenario, there was still an acknowledgement that, like, you're a subhuman person, you're a child, and like you've passed the medical boards or whatever it is, you've taken the MCATs, you can't drive, but you deliver babies, but we will still laugh at your tiny pecker. But now we've entered a world, in the real world, where just, idiot children. I mean, look, is Greta Thunberg? No, she's probably a reasonably intelligent 12-year-old or whatever she is, which means nothing to me. She's not, does she even go to school? I guess she does. She dropped out. This is not the Greta Thunberg, shit on her hour. I got no inherent problem with Greta. She's fine. I used to talk a lot of shit too when I was in high school. I used to go up to priests when I was in a Catholic high school before I got kicked out. I remember once I got a kick. I got really religious for a week because I wanted to reform the church. And this is before I was even really aware of the Catholic Church's, pedophilia problems. I just thought it was a bloated bureaucracy that needed to be reined in, and I was going to fix it. So I got in the face of the chaplain at one point. So saying to him, "I'm going to become a priest, and I'm going to rout out these corrupt priests, and I'm going to become the Pope." And they called the school psychologist on me. They called my parent, or they made me see a psychologist because it was threatening to him. Maybe he was threatened by his power. He felt his power and influence being threatened, but also physically he felt threatened. He felt like I was the kind of guy who might get violent, take out my grudges on him, which I was. I mean, I wouldn't waste my time. I'm not gonna. I'm going to start beating up a priest. I mean, I did, one time we were in the hallway after school. I didn't, I almost got in a lot of trouble, but he bumped into me as far as I see it. We're both walking in the hallway. It's a game of chicken. And I'm supposed to move out of your way. We're supposed to move out of my way. And he acts like I body checked him, which I don't think that's a fair analysis of the events. But he did go into the wall maybe. Look, he was a fat guy, but I wasn't a skinny guy, but I guess I was a little more agile. I don't know. I didn't check him, but he definitely, whatever. So there's definitely a precedent for him. I think it was before perhaps I said I wanted to become the Pope. So look, I can come off a little abrasive sometimes. So maybe, whatever. Point is, I can relate to Greta Thunberg. One time I used to run through the halls because the halls would be crowded and people just didn't know how to. I mean, you can probably relate if you're a driver and you're driving in traffic and people just kind of thumb up their ass and you're trying to get to work and you're weaving in and out of traffic. Everyone, I guess not everyone does. I feel like everyone does it, but then you have some people who are like, no, I follow the rules of the road. And it's like, all right, well, thanks, narc. But, point is that I would do that in the hallway. I would just kind of bob and weave. I didn't do full-on parkour, but I would bounce off walls and get angles. And I remember one time I was just darting through the hallway, and I feel this pull on me. And so what's going on here? And I thought it was one of my friends just being a dick. So I just kind of jerk my elbow back into their face, and it turned out to be, I don't know what he was, the dean. The dean seems more important. He was the disciplinary. I guess he was a dean of sorts or some guy. He wasn't a teacher. He was an ex-cop, old man who would go around just trying to get you in trouble, give you detention. And he I laid him out on the floor without even. It wasn't a purposeful thing. I wasn't trying to attack the guy. I mean, I had nothing against him per se, but he got splayed out, and he was so kerfuffled. Is that the word? Discombobulated. By getting just fucking, I mean, he probably realized, well, why am I putting hands on that kid? Why am I putting hands on this kid? This kid's fast as lightning. He's darting through the halls, and I'm going to try and pull him back. He gets an elbow right to the face. He probably felt like he deserved it because he pulls me into the side hallway. It's like a square. Our school was like a square. And he supposed to be the side one where there was a lot of traffic. He's like, you can't go running around like that. You can't go running. Go to lunch. Go to lunch. Just go to, like fucking Glengarry Glen Rose. Just go to lunch. And that's what, that's part of the game is you just got to, be aggressive and just punch teachers and, maybe it'll work out. Maybe, I definitely eventually got kicked out of school, but whatever. That's not the point. Point is, I understand, Greta's whole thing. Greta's whole, she's just kind of, if people listen to me when I was talking about being the Pope, if people just started going, well, that's really interesting, Ray. Why don't you tell me about the problems of the Catholic Church? I would have kept going. I would, if I wasn't, when I started spouting off, telling people how the world should be reorganized, and they were like, well, we want to hear, why don't you come to this conference and tell us more about how the Catholic Church can be restructured with a more charitable, I would have become a monster. I would have become a fucking lunatic who would have been, indicted for like tax evasion type stuff. Even though it's the church, you don't have to pay taxes, I guess, but I would have found a way to scam, I'm not above taking a little till off the top. Am I a religious man anymore? Not particularly. But I could still see myself, I'm not a mega church guy. I'm not going to pretend to heal people. I'll draw the line there. But I'll, maybe, we got to put a fucking thing on the church, like a new, what do you call it? A garden. Or we got to buy a new crucifix, life-size crucifix to scare children. These children aren't scared enough. We need to put more blood and shit and piss on the crucifix. No offense to Jesus, but I imagine if you're on a crucifix, you're pissing. I mean, you have to piss, right? That's one thing you never see in the crucifix. They get all into the blood. But everyone got mad about Piss Christ. I like to bring up Piss Christ from now and again. I probably mentioned it in older episodes. It was, I don't remember all the details, but it was I believe it was an NEA grant, or National Endowment of the Arts, sort of funded by the government, I guess. And this guy made a Christ out of piss. I think it was, or he used piss as a paint. I don't remember. Or was it a liquid sculpture? They called it Piss Christ, and people lost their mind. This is like in the 80s or 90s, maybe. But I mean, that there probably would have been piss on Christ, And this is again not to be defamatory, but like if you're on a cross, see the crucifix thing, it gets Jesus is the only guy who like spent 3 hours on a cross, because usually the whole thing, and you watch Game of Thrones, you saw that thing when most of you probably watched that show, and she got all pissed off the Clarice or whatever her name was, because she sees the kids and the peasants being crucified, and they're all just hanging there. That's what crucifixion was. You hung there. The whole idea is that you're hanging from your arms and legs. I mean, maybe they nailed you sometimes. I think most times they roped you. They tied you to the cross. But whatever. We'll let them have the artistic flair of the nails. And you would, basically be propping yourself up and on this little footstool. Because if you didn't, basically you would suffocate. It's like a suffocation kind of thing. Because like it's something to do with the lungs being, I don't know, like the position of the chest under the arms, it suffocates you. So you eventually you lose your leg strength over time, and you can't hold yourself up. So you just kind of, suffocate, I guess, at that point, and you rot on the cross. They leave you to rot. But I guess the whole thing with Jesus was the Passover, and they wanted to get it over with, whatever. So they busted his legs up. That's why they broke his legs. So he couldn't hold himself up. And they pierced him, I guess, to make sure he was dead. I don't know. Look, this is not a fucking theology class. The point is, you don't think people on crosses piss themselves? You don't think they shit them? I'd shit myself. You think I'm gonna I'm not a guy who shits in public. I'm not a guy who's even likes to piss in public. I have friends who I used to hang out and drink and smoke weed in people's backyards at parties, and be like, oh, I gotta use the bathroom, and they go just pissing, in the bushes. I didn't like that. I mean, I talked in recent episodes about how I didn't like to shit at camp. I like to keep my bathroom shit private. But I mean, if you're gonna put me on a cross, you can watch me shit. That's the deal. That's a transaction we've agreed on. But nevertheless, point is, so I don't, but would I buy, so if these rich, I'd go to some rich diocese, whatever, and I'd say, hey, we need a new crucifix. We need a new, what we need new stations of the cross, those stained glass things, and I take money off the top. I mean, again, I'm speaking against the excesses of Rome and the corruption in the church, but I would just jump right on there. But I won't pretend to heal your grandma, your crippled grandma. I'm not gonna like put my hand on her head and just be like, oh, now you can walk, and then like just give her some amphetamines or something, and then they'll pull her up. Just what do they do? They just pull them up sometimes. It's probably just all a scam. It's probably just all like a shell game or shill, whatever they call it, or grift. People probably just plants. Why don't you cure? I mean, none of them are curing COVID. Oh, that's low hanging fruit. Why don't you cure COVID? Yeah, I mean, look, people want to believe. They want it. They want you to scam them. They want something. They just, it's worth it to them for some guy in a fucking nice suit. They don't even want investments anymore. They want a guy in a nice suit, fucking, with a handkerchief, and maybe he drives a nice Miata, a Miata, or a Range Rover, a nice tasteful Range Rover, Land Rover, even if you want to get more continental, and just take their money and tell them that they're not just a fat Dorito eating slob, which they are, which I am. I don't need that. That's the only thing that separates me, is that like I know what I am. But so I'm not above. But yeah, that's not gonna be me. But I will siphon money from the crucifix, and I would still deliver one with piss on it because I feel like that's artistically or theologically consistent. It'd really make you connect to Jesus more. Like this is a guy who, and like, don't give him abs. I mean, like this whole idea of like, was he black? I don't think he was black. I think he's probably more like Arab. I don't know for sure anthropologically, but I mean, it's probably, I don't know who was in Palestine or wherever, Galilee at the time, but he's probably like an Araby kind of. He definitely wasn't blonde and blue eyes and white. But the point is, and people would take issue with that, but no one takes issue with the fact that he didn't have, shit all over his leg, which I think would humanize him. His whole point is he's human. He dies for your sins. He shit himself for your sins. That shouldn't be sacrilegious. But so these are the kind of things that I would do if I was, given the carte blanche that a Greta Thunberg does. So I'm not judging her, but nevertheless, I don't know why we listen to her. I don't know what we have to learn from a child. There's scientists who went to school for this, who've been telling us for years, and we don't listen to them a lot, anyway, or at least a lot of people don't. Whatever. I mean, the point is, I don't know that if the issue is entrenched corruption and a confluence of incentives, also a kids just get like, this is not Three Ninjas, right? This is not some movie like with Free Willy with the whale kid, where they would have shot that kid. E.T., the kid would have gotten shot. I mean, they had a controversy because they pulled the guns out of the movie to put like walkie-talkies, but those federal agents, they knew what to deal with. Even back then, they knew. Like, a federal agent was ready to shoot that kid because aliens are a more important thing. No one wants to see a kid shot over it. By the way, you look at that fucking, there's a thing online. Go look up E.T. the kid audition. The kid who plays, what's the kid's name? I was never that into E.T., but Eli or Ellie, whatever his name is, it's haunting for a couple of reasons. One, it's an incredible performance. I mean, it ends with, Spielberg in the background going, "You got the job, kid," because he's just crying on demand. And he's just like, beside himself. He's like, "You can't take him." Like they seem to be riffing with the kid. Because they're just going like, he's like, "Well, you can't take the alien. He's my alien." And he's like, "Well, we have to take him. I mean, it's our job to take him." Like, stuff is obviously not written in a script. They're just winging it. And the kid's responding. Like, I can't play because I think I'll get like, all these copyright infringements or whatever on YouTube. But you can find it easily, I'm sure. Go look at it. And like, it's haunting because the kid's incredible. The kid's not that good in the movie, if I remember. I haven't watched E.T. in a long time, but I don't remember being moved by this kid's performance. It's almost, I don't want to accuse anyone, but it does seem like, the kid might have been in an emotional state before they rolled cameras. Again, I don't want to feed conspiracies and accuse anyone, but I don't know why that kid, when the cameras rolled for the movie, the kid's just kind of like, "Oh, I'll take my friend, he's my friend." But he's just fucking, he's like, Meryl Streep in that moment. So what was going on? I want to know what was going on before they turned that camera on. I mean, we all know what Hollywood's like. Even if they were just maybe they're torturing a fucking his brother, maybe they waterboarded the kid. Whatever. It's not everything's pedophilia. Sometimes they just want to waterboard a kid. These Hollywood types. Whatever. I mean, not everything has to be reduced to the same type of. There's a lot of different types of evil out there. You know, you can waterboard. They might have just been shoving, bamboo shoots in his fucking fingernails. Who knows? But he was upset. But he was great. And he never worked again, is the thing. You know, you think, well, maybe he worked a couple times, but he definitely didn't become. This wasn't like Corey Feldman or Corey Haim, who ended up having a career. This is, whatever. The point is, why are we? I don't need to listen to a child. And now we're getting to it. So is Claudia Conway, girl, I don't know, was she 16 or something, 17? I feel like they took away her Twitter before, and now it's back. And she is like just talking shit about her mother on Twitter, which is like, it seems bizarre to me. It's the most insane, because Kellyanne Conway is not someone that, look, you should really take seriously. I'm not trying to, be partisan here, but the woman's kind of a clown. She might be smart. I mean, maybe some of this stuff is strategies is her, but her public persona is like goofy and wild. And it's just like, and like, she might like this is that guy who works in the Kremlin. I always forget his name, but he he's pioneered a lot of this, hypernormalization type shit for the past 20 years in the Kremlin. She might be that kind of whiz kid, Kellyanne Conway, and she just, is a big work. And good for her if it is. I mean, not good for the country, but good for her. It's a good scam. It's like Kaiser Sose shit. But she doesn't really need to be like, no one who's going to be swayed by, like, there's really no attack. It's almost like a great cover because, what are you going to do? You're going to fucking find some clown? You're going to go after, no one really, Billy Carter. Billy Carter was Jimmy Carter's brother. And there was something called Billy Beer, right? And my friend had a can. His dad had a can in his living room. It was funny. As a kid, I didn't even know what the hell this was. They were conservative. It was all a big joke to them. They had a bumper sticker saying, "Don't blame me. I didn't vote for Slick Willie." But he had it on his, like the wall of the garage. They didn't bother putting it on the car because they were tasteful. There was a certain level of like, yeah, this is fun, and we'll laugh about this, but we're not going to, putting bumper stickers in your car is a whole other level of it's just. I remember as a kid seeing just in the late 90s, still seeing like Perot bumper stickers. People just sticking the Perot, which is good for you. Ross Perot, that guy, no one got close to what Perot did third party wise. What do you got, 13%? And they claim they kidnapped his daughter. They claim Perot was in 92. He was a oil billionaire, I believe. And he claims his daughter was kidnapped, so he got out of the race, but then he got back in. And even after all that, the few months of not really being in it, and, it makes your credibility look weak if you get out of the race and get back in. And he still had 13% or some shit, which is just daunting compared to what we have now. It's Nader at best got 2%, and now no one can even there isn't even a viable third party. Not that it was a even no one's even getting fucking close to anything. So, but point is, Billy Carter, we gonna debate Billy Carter's politics and call him a clown? No, he was a clownish person, and that was it. It's this is the liability's there. So what is Claudia? Is Claudia Conway even whipping up the base? Because that's the argument they're always trying to make. It's who are you swaying here? No, just to get our base energized. Are we really getting energized because some know-nothing child is talking shit about her mother online? Yes, this is the West Wing moment, the Jeb Bartlett. This is the gauntlet being. This is the hope thing from Obama. The fucking was posters and shit, hope and change. This Claudia Conway just shit posting her mother on Twitter. The one thing I'll say is this. The one thing, if I was inclined to vote for Trump, I'm paying very close attention to Claudia Conway now. So I'm giving them this one thing. It might be a good strategy, because what Claudia Conway needs to do, what I would do, if my kid ever fucking opened their mouth about me in public, about this kind of, I would destroy this kid. I would have the fucking CIA plant evidence of this kid shitting themselves, doctor photos, find old boyfriends and just say, oh, this girl was just smelled all the time. You don't want to do sexual. You don't want to be like, oh, she was. That's gross. All right. It's still a child, but you can say she smells. All right. You can say that she always has fucking stupid, taffy in her teeth, and she likes watching fucking that stupid movie, The Kissing Booth on Netflix. She watched the 50. I would just be that. She watched The Kissing Booth 50 times on Netflix. I kept track. She watched that stupid movie. This is who you're listening to. If Chris, whatever his name is, the guy from Fox News came to me and said, "Oh, your daughter, has said that your politics are embarrassment." I'm like, first of all, she always smells like piss. I don't know why. I gave her a bathroom. I gave her plenty of pants and underwear. I give her money for that stuff. And she always just smells like piss. Is she bathing in piss? I don't know. And it's lies. I mean, she probably doesn't smell like piss. I'm saying, I'm never let my child. I would never let any child get over on me. But my own child. I mean, look, I've talked last week about fighting my dad and not taking shit. But I was older. I mean, it was two grown men living in a house, and they shouldn't have been anymore. And I had to move out, and it was fine. But if I'm gonna go running my mouth in public against my political daddy, no. If I'm the daddy, that ain't happening. We're just gonna fucking I would make fake songs that I would like just sample her audio and just make stupid K-pop videos. Like I would just fucking send like fake love letters she sent to like the Jonas Brothers and some shit. Just fucking and just make her look like a moron. Again, look, this day and age, who knows what these like psychopaths really do? Mine would still be tasteful. We're not doing anything creepy. You can say a kid smell. That's all you need to do, because a kid doesn't know how to come back from that. But you say to me, "Oh, you smell." Yeah, because I'm a man of the people. I piss myself because I'm not allowed in the upper classes bathrooms. They keep me out of their bathrooms. They keep me out of their foyers and they won't let me into their homes to use their piss holes. So I have to piss on the streets with the people, with the blood and the salt of the earth, and I shit myself in solidarity. But she can't pull that off. She's not me. I can come back from that. But you some fucking teenage girl, you say, yeah, you fucking smells like piss. Get lost. Scram. So if Kellyanne Conway allows this to happen, I don't, I don't, because Trump if he's known for one thing, it's not taking shit to a fault. I mean, he'll run his mouth, he'll go crazy, attack. He'll use the fact that your wife died as a shot against you. His wife died of cancer. How good of a husband could he have been? I'm sure he said that about Biden. If he didn't, you can have that one, Trump. I mean, I wouldn't use that, but I mean, he was talking shit about his dead son, wasn't he? I mean, I don't know. Point is, you let your son die of whatever. Point is, so this is what the campaign is known for. It's an alpha campaign. So if Kellyanne Conway allows this shit to go on, then I think it's definitely a good gambit. So I think she should come out and just just drop some fucking do some deep fake videos like of her doing like fucking stupid TikTok dancing. I don't know what kids even do. What would kids do that's be embarrassing anymore? These kids all put themselves online, just dancing like morons, and no one's funny. No one has any fucking time. Yeah, I haven't seen a talented kid since fucking the kid from E.T. The last talented kid. I mean, honestly, like the kid from Modern Family? No, he's not great. I'm trying to think of a kid who's good in a movie. Free Willy, that kid sucked. Jurassic Park, that kid was lame. Elijah Wood was good. That movie North. Elijah Wood I might listen to. If Elijah Wood came out and said, my dad is a piece of shit. My dad's a scumbag. And he's like a dentist. Don't go to his dental practice, all right? Look at my teeth. He didn't do these teeth. This is the Hollywood money. I fucking had to use my Radio Flyer money. Did I talk about Radio Flyer recently, how dumb that movie is? This is a pet peeve of mine. But Radio Flyer. He was great. Elijah Wood's great in it. There's a scene where fucking Elijah Wood is talking to a buffalo in some kind of weird, what seems like a drug-induced dream sequence, but I guess it's just a regular dream sequence. Because the whole point is the stepdad or whatever beats the kids, particularly the little one. And the little one's actually the one from Jurassic Park, who was kind of annoying in that movie. I'm not saying he deserved to get beat, but again, I stick by that. Elijah Wood, good, but the kid. But he asked the Buffalo, "Why is the king?" They call him the king. I guess he probably wanted to be called the king. He liked Elvis, I guess. He goes, "Why isn't the king hurt Bobby and not me?" He's like, "Because Bobby can't fight back." But like Elijah Wood is like fucking 10 years old in this movie, and you know who the dad is? The stepdad? It's fucking Adam Baldwin. If you don't know who that is, it's Full Metal Jacket, the guy who played Animal Mother, the guy with the fucking huge machine gun. And you're gonna tell me that guy can't take Elijah Wood also? Well, this is a digression, but it's a pet peeve of mine. The movie's not as good as you remember. It's not terrible, but and Tom Hanks. I remember being annoyed by Tom Hanks too in that movie. He's a ghoul. Yeah, but if Elijah Wood was talking shit about his dentist dad, then yeah, I'll get on board. I'll give him a little bit of I'll hear him out. But it's Claudia Conway. What has she done? You gotta shut her. You gotta put her, you gotta put a stop to this. If politically, again, I'm not supporting. I'm not looking for any. I'm not trying to promote. The Trump campaign winning and I'm not telling Kellyanne. I'm not going to be sitting there with Kellyanne Conway drinking champagne. Hugging each other, going, "We won." It's not the point. The point is just, as a political analyst, whatever the fuck I am, analyst. That's me. You gotta put a stop to this. You can't let this stand. It's weak. Never let your kid. Let your kid speak sometimes. It's more like raise your kid to not think that they should speak in mixed. I'm not talking about like in their mixed company. When you bring them to a cocktail party, which probably shouldn't, but they should be polite and should go, "Nice to meet you," and maybe they you can have them do some kind of parlor trick. Like I could say my dad never used this, but I could say all the presidents in a row: Washington, Adams, Jefferson, Madison, Monroe, Adams, Jackson, Buchanan, Harrison, Tyler, Polk, Taylor, Fremont, Pierce, Buchanan, Lincoln, Johnson, Gordon, Hayes, Garfield, Arthur, Cleveland, Harrison, Cleveland, McKinley, Roosevelt, Taft, Wilson, Hardin, Coolidge, Hoover, Roosevelt, Truman, Eisenhower, Kennedy, Ford, Kennedy, Johnson, Ford, Carter, Reagan, Bush, Nixon. I haven't done it in years, but I could do it. Like I had to fucking do it for a thing. Point is, yeah, that's still impressive. I'm sure to a lot of you, but you probably couldn't even name the presidents. And most of the time I can do that. I just whatever. I'm out of practice. The point is, no one ever asked me to do that. I didn't just volunteer that, but if I had it in my back pocket. And these kids don't even have that. They have nothing to offer. They can't recite things. They can't impress people. So it's bizarre. It's bizarre to me. You got to do something about that. Moving on, I guess. We're in a weird. There's a very weird pattern I'm seeing with the shipping elements of this country. All right, it's a very bizarre. Because on the first level, because something caught my eye. I was preparing for the show, and a UPS driver was accused of Oregon highway shootings. Now, I don't really need to get into all the detail, but apparently there's a spree of shootings. I'm not sure if people died. But a UPS driver is apparently a suspect. Probably, they don't usually frame UPS drivers, so I'm not, it's probably the case. It's probably early. It might be early goings. Maybe and, in a week we'll find out it's not him. But let's just assume it is him. It seems like it is. And at first glance, you're like, well, that's just, anyone could be a shooter, right? You got to do something for a living. You got to do something. Okay. But then you got to start thinking, like, all right, well, shipping. Because at first I thought USPS, which is what I thought I read, which is like, oh, that's weird with the whole election thing. Because this whole thing with there's like a rebellion going on with the U.S. Postal Service. This Trump is trying to throw some shade on the Postal Service, the ability. It seems like at first they organically wanted to cut the budget, right? They, like a typical Republican administration trying to privatize the shipping. That's probably where organically it started. But then it seems like it was accelerated with the pandemic shit, with the realization that we're gonna have to use these absentee ballots, and do we need to use them? There's arguments to be made that, in a lot, like for instance, in New York, the transmission rate's gotten very low, or whatever you call infection rate. I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure about the rest of the country. I'm sure, but it's not great. it seems prudent to develop, put in place this system. Trump seems convinced that, more. I'm not trying to litigate that, part of it. I don't buy it. The interesting thing though is the Postal Service is fighting back because their budgets are being cut. They're also, look, to be fair, they're losing overtime. So if I work for them, I get mad too. I mean, like, look, you get a job, you get a good gig. Everyone wants a good gig. Everyone wants to shit. I want to shit on the Postal Service for, like, because they're the ones, whatever how much does the U.S. government give them now? I'm not sure, but it's not a tremendous amount compared to what we put on fucking cruise missiles and predator drone. It'll always be at least one predator drones. I mean, it's not the first flub I've had this episode, but predator drones and and I get it. There really isn't much to America besides warfare anymore, so I guess you have to keep it going. But, part of the problem is why we got in this position in the first place. We're spending $1 trillion a year, give or take, on fucking war. So we're going to blame that, because I'm sure some guys at the post office are getting over. And by getting over, I mean they're making a decent living. We're going to give them shit. That's we're going to cut cost. But they're fighting back, and you're seeing tweets going like, hey, like, if the fucking post office handled all these ballots, if everyone voted whatever the amount of ballots it would be, it's like, what, 30% of what we do in a day or some shit. They're giving these memes. And it's a valid point. Look, my point is this, like, regardless, like, I've lost faith in America years ago, but, there was a time when when people said, let's go to the moon, and when Kennedy said that, we go, all right, also, why did you kill Marilyn Monroe? But the moon sounds cool. I mean, I don't know why you had to tag team Marilyn Monroe with your brother. Poor Joe DiMaggio was heartbroken. She's dead now. You forced pills down her throat. But the moon does sound cool, and if you could pull that off, we'd be impressed. Now, America did pull it off. We got the fucking Grumman and all these other companies and whatever. I'm not a moon nerd. I'm not fucking Tom. Not Tom. What we doing? Stupid. What's his name? Forrest Gump. Tom Hanks. I'm not Tom Hanks. I'm not sitting down in New Orleans in the fucking the World War II museum narrating movies, going, remember, and fucking producing stupid moon. Who gives a shit? You went to the moon. It's cool. The point is, we had a goal and we did it. And that used to be a thing that we liked. Like, it's more about what the people respond to. And the fact that no one seems to even, we're going to fucking, we can't handle some more mail. And everyone's like, yeah, that sounds about right. That, that sounds about, like, it's kind of like, when your parents tell you have to apply to, schools for college. And you go, it seems like a lot of work. And then it's like, they're just like, yeah, no, you're right. It does seem like a lot of work to apply to a community college. Why don't you just go work at the movie theater and get fired for hitting the trash can button too many times, which is something that happened to me. We'll talk about that in future episodes, maybe on the Patreon. I don't know. Remind me if it doesn't come up in soon, because that's a fun story about how I got fired from the movie theater, wrongfully fired. But the point is, it just seems like a real sad state that we just accept that that's normal. Yeah, you realize how much mail would come through? I mean, they used to ship entire, like, fucking catalogs. Like, if you bought one, I would get B&H catalogs. You buy one filter for $20, and they send you these massive catalogs for life. It used to be JCPenney catalogs. Where you'd have, like, it would just be like the size of a goddamn, dictionary. And everyone seemed to get them. You buy one thing at JCPenney, they might have given to you anyway. They used to send they still send the stupid phone books, or those delivered. Point is, it seems crazy that we just accept that we're just such lazy slobs that we can't scrounge together. I mean, the problem is the Congress posted, $25 billion to fund it. I don't know if it's going to pass the House and if Trump's going to veto it. It's all very bizarre. But here's all right, so that's the thing. So you got the UPS guy, and you got that guy, or that thing, the whole, which is, however you feel about it, is what it is. But then you remember what happened with that judge. The judge who was involved with the Epstein case. She was, amongst other things, who was supposedly, murdered. Well, she wasn't murdered, but her son was killed, and her husband was shot by that, the guy, the O&A pest or whatever, or the guy who called into O&A. I don't think he was a pest. He was a men's rights activist. But what did he pose as? A FedEx guy, which seemed, didn't seem. It just seemed like at the time, like, oh, it's just a simple disguise to get closer. Like, it would make sense if the guy was a hitman and got away with it and killed the target, or whatever. But then, like, you see how it's bungled, and he shoots himself later in like Troy, New York, or some shit, or Rockland, New York, Rockland, I think, Rockland County. It's like near Westchester, like across the Tappan Zee Bridge or some shit. So it didn't really make sense. But now maybe the whole point, there's a tie together with all this shipping. What is it with shipping this year and these issues? Just, it seems like the future is going to be the new criminal gangs, the new warlords will be shipping enterprises, which makes sense because, and don't forget Amazon is also part of this. They have their own thing, but they also use these services. It's almost like when you have, the pipelines being built in all across, Middle East, for instance, and Afghanistan, Pakistan, whatever that shit. And, we had, the Syrian civil war, which, again, I'm not the most micro knowledgeable about every aspect of pipeline development, but, there seems to be a lot of these things going on where it's like it's really about, laying pipeline between Russia and this and that and Kazakhstan, all this shit. And, and that was a huge aspect, resources of oil delivery. And that's how wars were fought for resource, oil. And they're fought over, like the Iraq war, for instance. Was it fought just to get the oil? I mean, there's a lot of myriad. I mean, the amount of people who got massively rich off of that is probably the reason, right? Like, you look at that and go, look, why did they do it? I don't, like, well, a lot of people, made trillions of dollars or billions and hundreds of billions, and overall, I mean, there's tons of money got exchanged. That's probably the reason. That, these people aren't stupid who planned the war, and the war went very stupidly. So Occam's razor, whatever happens, probably what they wanted to happen. I mean, Halliburton made a lot of money. We all know Cheney's involved. Yeah, this isn't rocket science. So you look at this and you go, Bezos, richest guy in the world. And these stocks, for Amazon, just, astronomically rising with the pandemic especially. But, all, if their goal is to get us in that, stay inside, at least to a certain, if the new norm is to stay more inside, the shipping's going to, it was already accelerating. So the point is it absurd to think that there's a war, that's secret right now, but there's a war going on about the shipping routes of America. I don't usually venture into, full, Alex Jones-esque territory, but this seems like it can't just be a coincidence. I mean, it can, and probably, I don't know. As I'm saying it, though, it seems it would be crazy if it wasn't. It'd be crazy if they didn't fight over this, right? It'd be crazy to go, well, I mean, what's parallel to Amazon and delivery? I mean, the first thing is shipping. And it would just happen, and that would just be settled by accident. I mean, maybe that's part of the thing. The idea is the U.S. Postal Service is probably being used by Amazon to a certain extent. And they definitely are. But I've been saying, like, most packages I get don't seem to be from them, but whatever. A lot of it's UPS. But I mean, but a lot of it apparently has been used by USPS. They use that, and people call the subsidy. I'm not. Maybe I should get an economist, a microeconomist, to talk about this, because this seems more and more realistic as I'm talking. Because first of all, it was Bezos, getting a subsidy from the government in this form. Maybe not. The point is, but the idea is the FedEx, the DHL, the UPS. They would, wouldn't it make sense to get rid of the post office if you have this tremendously profitable, potentially profitable thing? Yeah, you want to fucking cartelize that industry, just like the Federal Reserve did. You want to fucking get your hands in your mitts, and you want control over this. Because at the end of the day, it's just money. I mean, the election thing, sure, but it seems like the more. I mean, the largest company in the world is Amazon, right? It has to be, or it's not. I mean, Bezos is the most is the richest. I don't know if their market, whatever you call it, is bigger than Apple yet, but they're on their way. They're big enough, and they're shipping like crazy. So are they running mercenary forces? Are they, are there Blackwater operators, whatever they call themselves now, XE services, or they black to Blackwater, I forget. Are they? I mean, why would the UPS driver be is this a false flag done by DHL, done by FedEx? These Oregon shootings, was the FedEx thing really not about Epstein at all? Was that UPS, or was it FedEx? Or have we looked at? There's a lot of cases that judge had. It was also was it mob stuff or cartel stuff, and we all dismissed it. Was there a shipping thing involved in that? We have to look into all these things because that's probably what we're looking. We're looking at the gangsterism of shipping, and why not? You'll just have these truck convoys, and because as things fall apart, things will be shipped more and more. It'll be Mad Max. We've all seen the Road Warrior or the newer one, but the Road Warrior was a truck convoy type thing, wasn't it? Either way, marauding gangs of guys with guitars, just attacking each other, with oil and diapers and fucking copies of video games, bottles of seltzer, whatever. It's all going to be. Has to be protected. We're gonna have the U.S. military is going to be primarily just fighting off these mobs of people trying to get at the Amazon trucks. So it's going to be a hugely lucrative thing going on here, and I don't think we can ignore it. It seems crazy. This is actually more serious than I was actually even envisioning, but this seems like we're on the precipice. Because as things close down, look at what happened with the pandemic. The amount of things I had shipped to me. I never left the apartment. So, if I want to get my dildo, there's no store to go to. I get it from the goddamn Amazon. And, I'm going to pay a pretty penny for it. So, I don't know how many of you guys are video game guys. But it's a Hideo Kojima guy. He makes the fucking Metal Gear Solid games. What are those games about? Those games are about this crazy device mech. Originally, there's a lot of shit going on. They're very convoluted. They're fun. I played the first couple. I like them. They're big. They're ostentatious games. And they're about this mech who delivers nuclear weapons. And, it seems very quaint nowadays. Oh, it's a mech that has a nuclear bomb. Who gives a shit? We got, drones that can drop that shit. Exactly. And look, here's the thing. All right. So basically, Metal Gear Solid, this guy's like a visionary. He didn't want to keep making Metal Gear games. Konami is, the company that makes them, was kind of forcing them for a while, and there was a whole back and forth drama. Again, not getting into it right now, but a couple of years ago, he basically just kind of quit, or they basically fired him because they got into making pachinko. Was it the game? Or they got into gambling machines. I think it's called pachinko. It's a big gambling thing in Korea or Japan, where they just, go in these pachinko parlors. I think it's called, and whatever. They just You think these things are motivated by one thing, but they're motivated by another. The game they don't even care. It's a huge selling video game. They don't give a shit. They're making pachinko machines. They don't give a fuck about Metal Gear Solid. And so, whatever. They want to make Metal Gear. He doesn't. They fire him. He leaves and makes this game, and he releases this trailer for this game called Death Stranding. He was supposed to make a new sound. Oh, again, it was a cool. Well, I should have a video game thing in the Patreon sometime because sometimes stuff comes up, but it's not really my main squeeze. But the point is, it was a cool game. It was dark. It was some weird shit going on. He's carrying some fucking baby. No one knows what this game's about. We're all anticipating it for years. It finally drops like earlier this year, I think, or last year. And the whole thing is like a glorified shipping game. You're shipping things. You have this weird like mech suit, and you carry things across this desert wasteland. And like, that's the game. And people get really mad about it because some people liked it, but this game's kind of fucking tedious. And you're just carrying and shipping things. And it's all about you're on some kind of gyroscope fucking thing, and you have to balance yourself. I don't know. It seems boring. I didn't play it. I'll play it eventually, maybe. But now I'm looking at it going, is this guy fucking onto something? Is it prescient? Seems to be. It seems like the future is gonna be shipping, and I don't know. I find it's all very fascinating. It took a more serious turn than typical, but we're gonna follow up on this. This took an interesting development. I also want briefly mention this new Batman movie came out. Well, didn't come out, but the trailer. And it's probably fine. I don't care. I don't care if it's moody. It's just not people. It's too dark. I don't give a shit. I'm not a child. It's Batman. Who cares? But I do think there's if you're gonna keep making Batman movies, why not just make Batman like a slimy? Because Robert Pattinson looks kind of like emo-y, and it like almost like a hybrid between Twilight and Good Time. Good Time is a movie. If you haven't seen Good Time, everyone's talking about Uncut Gems this year. It was a great movie. But Good Time is a movie that the Safdie brothers made before Uncut Gems. Also great. Robert Pattinson. They filmed a bunch of it at Adventureland in Long Island. If you're a Long Island person, I used to go there as a kid, and so whatever. I hate nostalgia, but whatever. Point is, why not make him just like a weird, slimy guy, like a guy who literally has goo, and like is a bat, like he shits himself all the time. And he's always just kind of spitting on people. Like you can make him tough, but like also he has diseases. He has like sexually transmitted diseases, like chlamydia. He has like gout, and he just like whatever he can. He has leprosy. Why not have Batman have leprosy? Imagine a guy who fights criminals who gives them leprosy. That would be amazing. Like why wouldn't the Batman just inject himself with leprosy? Like his skin's always falling off. I mean, I guess it might throw a curveball for the whole Bruce Wayne element of it all. The whole like I'm a rich playboy, but also I mean he's by whores, pay prostitutes. Like he kind of obviously in the Dark Knight, right? He's hanging out, or is it Batman? Yeah, when they have the dinner with Harvey Dent, he's like, oh, you become a hero, you die of AIDS, whatever the famous speeches. But like those girls are like. They're whores, right? Or are they ballerinas? I forget. They should have been whores. And he should have whores. He should be a weird Howard Hughes type who, like, is just dying of leprosy and just beats people and has a gun and just shoots people and fucking... Also, like, why doesn't he ever just fucking, like, have a private army? I mean, like, that's the thing in this day and age. So I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. We had enough Batman movies. It's a cool enough character. You can, go ahead and make it. These people want to make money. If you went out and you saw good movies when they came out, they wouldn't keep making Batman. It's your fault. I mean, you go out and see Star Wars. I went out and saw it. I'm part of the problem too, even though I hate the dumb movies. But it's just, they make them intriguing enough. And then, look, the Marvel movies, the last couple were good. Like, they tie them together in a way. Even when they make a bunch of shit movies that are pretty mediocre, they tie them together at the end. So you remember it fondly, go, this was great. And you forget that, like, Iron Man 3 is just, some guy just, having cold sweats in the night, and then, like, some kid builds his suit. Again, I'm so sick of these kids helping adults in movies. Enough. That's why, the Batman movies were good, because you had old man Alfred going, like, I used to be part of the fucking British Raj, and I would, he brushes over the past, they're probably just killing Indian civilians. The British Empire wasn't great. I mean, George Orwell's famous to kill an elephant. He has to kill an elephant. I mean, I forget what the people wanted it. Like, it was a stampeding elephant. Point is, there's a cost to pay for being an imperial agent, which is brushed over, but still, he's an old man helping Bruce Wayne. He's not some fucking little kid. Like, there's that movie with fucking, what's her name? The girl. She's in Juno. Ellen Page, where she was, I think it was one of her first things. She was called Jawbreaker, and she was like, I guess this guy was a pedophile, and she was a little kid who like kidnapped him and drugged him and was torturing him, which is a noble enough pursuit. But as I remember, I was watching, there's a scene where like he's a full grown man. I forget the guy's name. He's around Patrick something, and he's a full grown man, and she's like a little kid at this point, and like he's just like on like he's like on the floor at one point, and he's on this big table, and it's like, what is this? There's no pulleys here. You telling me you fucking lifted this guy to the table? Where's your fucking weird? I mean, if they showed her with like a cool pulley thing, like in Home Alone, just like her like doing a little engineering, that'd be fun. But they don't earn it. I'm just saying, this is the anti-kid episode, I guess. Kids are fine. Kids should just get good at something, so when you're an adult, you can not be a pest, not be, put your time in. You got to learn to be good at stuff. Three ninjas is, no one's gonna. Even the Sandlot was decent enough. I mean, because those kids are playing baseball every day, and then he eventually became a major league player. It's not rookie of the year. It's not some fucking kid who fucking, that's stupid shit. That's not inspiring to a kid. A kid should not be inspired by things that other kids. You should look and go, I want to be like that adult, like like a fucking Dr. Doolittle. I want to be like Dr. Doolittle. I want to talk to animals or something like that, or I want to be, I don't know, just some the idea of Doogie. We put a kid in this, so kids don't want other kids. Kids don't need other kids. Kids like Die Hard. Kids will like movies. They're good. You don't need to put kids in them to relate to them. That's the fucking infantilizing. I'm not blaming everything on infantilizing, but we have been infantilized. It started when I was a kid. It got a lot worse after I was a kid. But I mean, the idea, we gotta put kids in so kids will want to see it. Kids don't give a shit like kids unless you fucking condition them to. Make them watch adult. Make them watch Beowulf or whatever the fuck. I don't care. So that's my rant on that. So, Batman should have leprosy is just what I'm saying. Okay, so this has been great. Thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, if you want to get an extra episode a week, you can sign up for the Patreon. We record every Thursday, and these come out every Sunday. And, that's, you can follow the link in my Twitter. It's patreon.com/RayComp. It's in my Instagram and Twitter bios, and it'll be on the link of the YouTube page. Otherwise, thanks for tuning in. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram @RayComp, and I'll see you next week or on Thursday. Have a great time.